Hello, welcome to another live stream. We're doing another live Q&A session. This is related to the Big Energy Saving Winter campaign, and I'm just going to pop that up on the screen actually for you. Let's make it a bit bigger. Oh, we've got Ella in the bottom there. I'll introduce her in a moment. So Big Energy Saving Winter campaign is from Citizens Advice, and it's around saving energy, saving money on your energy, really, doing a compare, switch and save. Today's live stream is focused on switching. So that's both switching supplier, but also potentially switching tariff. We'll have Ella in a moment, our energy advisor. I'll introduce her shortly. We'll be answering some questions. If you have any questions that you want to ask Ella, then if you're on YouTube, just pop it in the chat. We'll see those come up. Maybe a bit of a delay for these things, but what I'll do is when they come up, I'll try and bring it up and get Ella to answer the questions if she can. She has also prepared some of the frequently asked questions that she gets during the course of her energy advice around switching. So what she's going to do is run through those questions and give some answers. But as I say, any additional questions, please do pop them in the comments section. So what I'm going to do now is hopefully unmute Ella. So Ella, thank you for joining us. Ella is our energy advisor at Citizen Advice Telford and the Wrekin. If you saw the last live stream that we did, you can find it through our YouTube channel, the recording. Ella talked about looking at the energy questions, whereas today the focus is on switching. So check last time, switch this time. So what I'm going to do is hand over to Ella. I'm going to deal with popping up some comments and things at the bottom of the screen, and keeping an eye on your comments in the chat as well. So Ella, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So today, like Tom mentioned, our topic is switching, and I've prepared a list of questions and I'll be answering them. So the first question is, who can and who cannot switch their energy supplier? It's a topic that you hear a lot, lately on programs like Martin Lewis's money program, but people do want to know. So generally, if you pay your energy bills that are in your name, you have a right to switch the supplier. You don't have to own the property to switch supplier, because some people do not pay for their energy bills directly. For example, if they live in a house of multiple occupation, or if they live in a park home and pay the bills to the site owner rather than the supplier itself, then they're not able to switch suppliers. Also, customers who are in arrears might not be able to switch suppliers. It depends on the type of meter they are on. People on credit meters in arrears are usually blocked from switching by their supplier unless they have not yet been billed, or they've been billed in the last 28 days, or if the arrears were caused by the supplier error. Customers on prepayment meters can switch suppliers if the arrears are under £500 per fuel. When the customer then moves suppliers, the arrears usually move to the new supplier as well. The second question is, can the current supplier charge me penalty charges if I switch away from them? Potentially, they can only charge you exit fees if you're on a fixed tariff with them and it's more than 49 days before the end of this tariff. It is definitely worth checking when your fixed tariff ends. Usually, if there is a month mentioned in the name of your tariff, for example, fixed December 2020, the tariff would end at the end of that month. But you can switch without incurring a penalty as early as on 13th of November 2020. The exit fees would apply to each type of fuel and usually are about £30 per fuel, although I have encountered fees of £40 per fuel where customers actually incurred £80 exit because he switched too early. Not all tariffs have exit fees. All prepayment meter tariffs, even if they are fixed, do not have any exit fees, so you can switch any time from your prepayment meter. Some of the credit meter tariffs that are fixed also don't have exit fees. It usually is on your bill. It mentions whether or not how there are exit fees and how high they are. Next question. Will I save on my bills if I don't switch the supplier but only switch the tariff? Yes, if your fixed tariff is about to end, you're very likely to save money if you switch to another fixed tariff with the same supplier, because if you don't do anything, you will be transferred to the standard variable tariff, which is relatively high. You might be able to save more if you were to shop around and switch to another supplier, but it's not always possible. For example, if the account is in arrears, or if another supplier is not yet able to make your smart meter work in a smart meter mode and you want to keep it working as a smart meter. Or if you are eligible for warm home discount with the supplier, but not with the others. Or sometimes, generally, people just wish to remain with existing suppliers because they're quite happy with the customer service and they don't want to switch. Sometimes, if you switch the tariff but not the supplier, the exit fees are not levied, even if you have more than 49 days before the end of your tariff. So it's worth just looking at the figures to see what is cheaper for you. Next question is, can I cancel the switch if I change my mind? Yes, you have 14 days to cancel the switch from the date you started the process without incurring any fees. During this period, you won't actually be switching yet because the new supplier has to wait for 14 days. It's a cooling off period before they move the supply. It's always worth phoning the supplier to let them know that you want to cancel the switch if you decided, as it is quicker. And also it might be worth confirming in writing by sending a quick email, for example, if possible. Once, however, you provide your meter reading to the new supplier, which is after the cooling off period, you could incur exit fees if you switch suppliers if you're on a fixed tariff, which has those. Next question is, what does the process for switching involve? First thing, you contact the new supplier or alternatively instruct the tariff comparison site and inform them that you want to switch to a particular tariff. Then the cooling off period of 14 days starts. You are emailed or posted the details of your new tariff and the new supplier contacts your old supplier. Then the new supplier requests you to provide a meter reading on a certain date. This would be the date of the switch. Once they receive this meter reading, the new supplier tells it to your old supplier, who calculates the final bill and sends it to you. And from that date, you are with the new supplier. What happens if I do not provide the meter readings to the new supplier? So this happens if you instructed the new supplier that you were switching, but you didn't provide the meter readings. Your switch will still go ahead. You would not need to provide meter readings if you have a smart meter which is supported by the new supplier. Otherwise, the supplier could actually estimate the final meter reading, and as long as it is the same as the starting meter reading, there shouldn't be any issues. However, the estimated readings could be quite inaccurate, so it's worth to provide accurate meter readings to make sure that you are billed correctly. Next section is about switching and smart meters. It's a separate section because potentially they can complicate the process, although they shouldn't really. So can I switch a supplier if I have a smart meter? Yes, absolutely. Having a smart meter would not prevent you from switching. And once the process of installing and updating all the smart meters to the second generation SMETS 2 is completed, the process will be quite seamless. What if I have an old type SMETS 1 smart meter and I switch the supplier? If you're not sure if your smart meter is SMETS 1 or SMETS 2, check with your supplier. It is likely to be SMETS 2 if it was installed in the last year. However, there was a notice that Utilita had recently been fined by Ofgem for installing old type smart meters until recently. SMETS 2, the new style smart meters, are compatible with all suppliers, so you should not lose the smart function of your meter if you change your supplier, but the new supplier should also be supporting it. What happens when you switch depends whether your meter is in a credit or prepayment mode. So if it is in a credit mode, your meter will continue working in a credit mode. If the new supplier can't upgrade it to the SMETS 2 meter, the meter would lose its smart functionality. So you'd have to provide meter readings until the meter is either replaced or updated, and your in-house display unit will not work until it's updated. If you have a smart meter which works in a prepayment mode and it is an old type smart meter, it will start working in a credit mode after the switch. So you would not have to top up your meter. Instead, the supplier would be billing you for the energy used. Contact the new supplier and set up either a direct debit or request them to install a prepayment meter. They may be able to change the meter to SMETS 2 smart meter in a prepayment mode. You would still have to pay for the energy used between the switch and change of the meter. Occasionally, and experienced it several times, the new supplier is unable to change the meter or to put in a prepayment meter. So for people who are not used to credit meters, it might cause problems with budgeting, and it might be worth raising a complaint with the new supplier and ask for some sort of compensation. Do I have to have a smart meter installed if I switch to a different supplier? No, you're not obliged to accept a smart meter if you do not wish to. However, you have to be careful because most competitive tariffs recently now have a condition that in order to receive this tariff, you have to agree to have a smart meter installed. If it's not possible to install a smart meter at your property, because, for example, you live in a block of flats and there are some issues with the signal, or due to any other reason, then you could still have the tariff you switched to, as long as you agreed to discuss the installation of the smart meter. If you refuse to have the meter installed, however, where it is possible to do so, the supplier could switch you to a different tariff. Generally, it would be the standard variable tariff, which is more expensive. So before you switch your tariff, it's worth looking at the conditions, whether you are required to have a smart meter, and if you don't want to do it, then don't switch. Next question is, can my landlord stop me from getting a smart meter? According to Ofgem, if you pay your energy supplier directly for your gas and electricity in your rented property, you can choose to have a smart meter installed. If your tenancy agreement says that you need your landlord's permission to alter metering at your property, your landlord or letting agency should not unreasonably prevent you from installing a smart meter. In practice, what happened with old-style non-smart meters is that if your tenancy agreement stipulates that you should have a prepayment meter, and then you are entitled to change it to a credit meter, but then before leaving the property, you would have to request your supplier to change it back to a prepayment meter, because otherwise, theoretically, your landlord is entitled to bill you for the cost of installing a prepayment meter again. With smart meter, where they could be switched, this functionality could be switched remotely, it should really be a lot easier to do this. So it's worth, checking with your landlord, but if you have a smart meter, then potentially it could be switched very easily to a prepayment mode. What do I do if I switch in error? For example, if I did not authorize switching the supplier. It doesn't happen very often, but it still can happen. If you receive a bill from your supplier which says it's a final bill or letter saying we are sorry that you're leaving, and you're actually not aware that you were leaving them, it might be caused by the error of the supplier, or you might have been misled by a salesperson, or somebody might have switched you erroneously where it wasn't done correctly or properly, and it wasn't you who switched. You should contact your old supplier and ask them to cancel the switch if it has not yet happened. If it has happened, you could ask them to reverse the switch, and they should be able to do that. They should deal with it in 21 days since you contact them, and the new supplier should also pay you £30 compensation. If there are delays, you may be eligible for more compensation, and there's a link to the Ofgem website here with the information about what compensation you could be eligible for and what are the conditions for compensation.
Yeah, I've just put that link in the comment section, so anyone that's watching this live, that'll pop up in there. If you're watching this as a recording, you can also go to the description for this video, because I'll put it in the description as well for you.
So definitely you're not obliged to accept switching to a different supply if you actually haven't authorized it. And in my experience, it's also possible to raise it quite late after you switch, so it could be several weeks after you switched. You could still raise it as an issue. Next question is, what would happen to my warm home discount if I switch supplier before receiving it? So if you apply for warm home discount under the broader group, which is where you need to do the application and you do it in time, and you usually inform that the warm home discount will be applied until the end of March the following year. If you have not yet received this discount and you switch supplier, then your application with the old supplier will actually be cancelled and you will not receive it. So you need to consider this before you actually decide to switch. You could theoretically still be eligible to apply with the new supplier. So it's worth checking if they offer this discount and what their criteria is. And the list of the suppliers is on the .gov.uk website. But the difficulty with warm home discount is that it could be withdrawn by the supplier at any point once they reach the target number of the people that they are obliged to help, which means that if you decide to switch your supplier and then it takes you 14 days plus another 3 days a week, and after you've actually switched, and it's when you have the account number for the new from the new supplier that you can apply. Sometimes, especially during December, January, February, the supplier would close the applications and you actually won't be able to switch. So it's worth considering delaying the switch until you have received the credit from warm home discount, which you will see on your bill before you switch. Should I switch supplier straight away if my supplier fails? Unfortunately, this is still an issue. We've had quite a few suppliers that have failed, even in the recent couple of weeks. I think Yorkshire Energy has failed and they were transferred to Scottish Power. It is not advisable to switch supplier straight away, as you would need to wait for Ofgem to appoint another supplier to take over the account of the failed supplier. It doesn't take long, it usually takes several days, literally within a week. It's worth doing a tariff comparison check once the new supplier has been confirmed and they have contacted you and you know the tariff details, so you'd be able to compare the prices. You should be refunded any credit balance you have, but if you were in arrears to the failed supplier, then either the new supplier or the administrator will be recovering those arrears. So if your arrears are with the new supplier, they potentially could block your switch, so you wouldn't be able to switch. So in that case, it's worth checking if you're on the best possible tariff with that new supplier. And the next question is, what about auto switching? Auto switching means you instruct a company to switch suppliers automatically, and it has been these companies have been known to operate for the last several months at least. And there's quite a good article about auto switching on the Which website, which is available to everybody, and there is a link in the comment section. So examples of these companies are Look After My Bills, Flipper, Switchcraft, Switched, or WeFlip. They're among the biggest names. The idea is that they check the market for you and switch you to the gas and electricity tariff they judge to be the best and most suitable for you. Sometimes they switch you once. You can actually save a set amount of money per year by switching. Or sometimes they wait until the end of the fixed period, according to which the deals that they do offer, so the tariffs that they do offer, are not necessarily the cheapest. So it might be worth checking yourself and switching yourself. I personally would have reservation for customers who are eligible for warm home discount under the broader group with some suppliers, but not the others, because some companies have wider criteria than the others. With some, the criteria is being on specific benefits and also have specific family members in the household, with children under 5. Whereas some other suppliers, and I won't list them all because the newer suppliers are among those that might have quite a wide criteria. They also have criteria where low income would also make you eligible for application under the broader group of warm home discount. So it's worth £140 per year if you're eligible. And basically, if you switch to another supplier by the third party who you authorise to do so, and the new supplier doesn't provide this warm home discount for you because you're not eligible, then potentially you could lose out. So it's definitely worth checking if it would apply to you. We at Citizens Advice in Telford, we have not had any issues with these companies yet. So I don't have any experience of what problems there could be. So it might be a good idea for somebody who otherwise would not switch their suppliers at all and they're not eligible for warm home discount, or for whom switching is very straightforward. So, they pay by direct debit, they're not eligible for any discounts, and they're too busy to do the check themselves. So it's definitely worth considering it. But have a read at the Which article because it's very detailed and it's pretty good. I imagine Martin Lewis' website might also have information about it. Its section on switching is very, very good. There's also information about switching on Citizens Advice website, of course, as well. I've reached the end of my questions that I've prepared quite quickly today. So does anybody have any questions at all?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ella. as I say, for any of those things where there were links, I've put the links into the comments if you're watching this live. If you're watching this back as a recording, they'll be in the description as well, so you can find those links there. I'll also put the link back to the last live stream that we did where Ella was talking about checking your energy supply. Just have another look in the comments. I don't think we've had any questions. No. I've got a couple of things that I'll just go through, and then I'll do a last check in case there is anything. First of all, our next live stream. So the next live stream will be in 2021, almost there now. So that's on Wednesday, the 20th of January. It'll be at 12:30 again. And this time Ella will be answering questions about saving, because this is all part of the big energy saving winter campaign. Last month was about checking, this month about switching, next month will be about saving. So again, you can find that on our YouTube channel next month on the 20th. We'll also put some links out on social media to advertise that as well. And if you can't make it for the live stream, we will put the recording up on our YouTube channel and make that available as well for anybody. Now, for anyone who has either been watching this live or watching it back as a recording, if you had any questions or you think of anything afterwards, and we're no longer live, so you can't ask us, you can contact Citizen Advice, Telford and the Wrekin, make an appointment with Ella, and she will be able to go through those questions with you and be able to do some more detailed advice for you as well about checking and switching your energy supplier. So to book an appointment with Ella, you can either call us at the office on 01952 567 193, and you can leave a voicemail if there's no one available, or you can email us at case@telfordcab.co.uk. That's coming down at the bottom here, and again I'll put this in the description if you're watching this back. I just wanted to also highlight, and I'm going to pull it up on the screen now. This is the big energy saving winter website, and this is the switch section for it. So one of the things that we have on here, you could save money on your energy bills by using our comparison tool. So I'm going to go to that, and hopefully, no, I don't think it's switched. So I'm going to remove that screen and then pop up the new screen with that website for you, because I want to show you the comparison site. So this is the Citizens Advice comparison site for checking your energy and checking with your current tariffs from your current supplier or other suppliers as well. Straightforward as with any other energy comparison website. But the one thing I will mention is that with our one, there aren't any sort of tie-in deals because we're independent and we're impartial. So you will just get the tariffs that are available from the different suppliers. Whereas if you go through some of the other energy comparison websites, I know they sometimes tie in with the suppliers and may be able to offer you deals as well. So I don't know if Ellis might say that I'm wrong here, but I would probably say it's worth using our site to do that initial check. But it's always worth checking on these other sites because there might be a deal through one of those as well.
I wanted to add that I think our tariff comparison check would have those tariffs as well. But in order to benefit from them, you wouldn't be able just to contact the supplier. You'd have to do it through the tariff comparison site. So it would be actually listed in the information about the new tariff, the details, any specifics, issues, whether it is tied to a tariff comparison site, or if you need to get a smart meter to benefit from it, or any issue like that. Those details are normally on the details of the tariff, so they all should be there. I think the only issue that could be relevant is if you are doing the comparison today, but then you decide to switch several days from now, it might be that the tariff that you've selected is no longer available because they do come in and out all the time, they change continuously. So it's worth doing it and then checking again just before you switch if that tariff is available.
Brilliant, thank you. Again, I've put a direct link into that comparison site in the comments section. And again, if you're watching this back as a recording, I'll put this in the description as well. I think that's it. We've not had any questions come up in the comments section. So just a reminder again, really, that our next live stream will be on Wednesday, the 20th of January, and that'll be in 2021. And that'll be at 12:30 in the afternoon again. And we'll be looking at savings. So if you do have any questions, you can join us on that date and ask them in the comments section. Or again, alternatively, if you want to book an appointment with Ella to have a look at more detail at your energy advice, contact us at the office. There are a couple of days where we're closed over Christmas, so we'll be closed half day for Christmas Eve. We're closed on Christmas Day, closed on the following Monday for the Boxing Day bank holiday, and we are closed on New Year's Day as well. But if you call on one of those days or email us on one of those days, leave us a message. We will pick that up when we are back in the office, and then that will get processed and put through to Ella and an appointment booked for you.
I just wanted to add that Energy Saving Winter campaign has a really good little quiz on its webpage, so you could check your knowledge of switching and see, whether you can score 100%.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, I think that's it then, Ella. There's no questions in the comments section. So again, thank you for joining us, and thank you for answering those questions that you've sort of come across on a regular basis, and those links for articles and other websites that can support. And thank you to anyone that's watched this live and anyone who's watching this back as a recording. So
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the new year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Stay safe.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Bye.
Bye.